sing through, there is no knowing what I'll take.
Welcome back, guys, to yet another episode of Cocktails and Talks. I want to thank the guys that showed episode 1 a lot of love. This is episode 3, and I know it took a while for us to put up episode 2, but thank you guys for being patient, yeah? Now, today's conversation is one of those conversations that I think a lot of people dread having, but I felt that it was a topic that I needed to address, more so because of some of the messages I got in between filming episode 1 and now this episode, yeah? Get strapped into your seat and we are going to get into a conversation that is going to be a hectic one, but I hope you guys stick around till the end. A short disclaimer, if you have any issues or you get triggered by certain conversations that entail grief, essay, child abuse, suicide, I suggest you do not watch this video alone, or you can just skip the video altogether and then wait for another episode that's a little more chill, and then we can have you guys on that video. But without further ado, for those who have stayed, as you've read in the description, today we're talking about men and grief, yes? And I specify by saying men and grief, or more so boys and grief, because of the, I want to say, stigma that surrounds addressing grief as a male individual, whether you're a boy, a child, a youth, an adult. There's a certain level of stigma that is around addressing grief for people like us. So one of the reasons why I have decided to make this video at this point of the journey as Cocktails and Talks is because there will be times when you'll hop onto the YouTube or check on Instagram or check on TikTok and you guys will feel a certain type of vibe with the videos I make. It's going to be explained later on in the video. But I was having a conversation with a friend, and we're talking about how all the people in my friend group, because we've lost a couple of friends in the friend group, and when I say lost, I don't mean like they cut us off or they walk away, no. They were elevated to a different status of living, which is heaven or whatever you decide to believe in. Me personally, I believe heaven, but we have lost a couple of friends in the group chat. So we're sitting around and we're talking about how we never really discussed how each of us grieved with some of these scenarios, yeah? Like after we are done, sending off a friend, we just jump into the usual, we take like a week or two, but then it's back to normal. We're hitting up Thrones, we're hitting up all these different places, we're going to Silo, we're partying, we're doing all these things, but we never sat to discuss some of these things, and that's the conversation we are about to have. And I'm going to give my personal experience with the 5 stages of grief, and I'm sorry if you relate to a topic like this, but I feel like it needs to be said, yes? Now, for the 5 stages of grief, there are 5 different stages of grief, so we're going to go one by one, breaking it down with my personal experience, and if you guys relate, feel free to share your stories. One of the other reasons why I've decided this topic is because someone shared a story which sent me to a place, yeah? So now, the first stage of grief is denial. A little backstory to this whole first stage is, for those that know me on a personal level, I lost my dad, and it was like one of those times where, man, you're getting ready for like final national papers, and then they hit you with this bomb, yeah? The first stage for me was denial. My close friends know this story. I don't think my mom knows this particular story because I feel like I started opening up more of recent, but this conversation was had with a couple of friends of mine, yeah? So how I found out my dad passed was I was at school, yeah? And for those that know me, you'll know I was the loudest child in any school I was in, yeah? So I remember it was like an evening, and a time when you have like freeze, for those that have combinations, those that understand the whole concept of combinations, there are times when there was a lesson for like this particular combination and then you didn't have a lesson, yeah? Now, I seated with a couple of friends now on the top floor of the building that we're in, and I was sitting with one of my friends. I'd grown like a mini fro, so one of my friends was helping me braid it in. Yeah. Now while I sitting laughing, jazzing, looking around and all these different things, and then my math teacher, because picture this, yeah, it's an L building, and we are at the top floor, yeah, and we're seated on this side of the L, yes. But when you do like this and like this, our class was right here, and then the next room was the staff room, yeah. So I see the math teacher, O-level math teacher, move from the staff room, and then he stands at the door and he looks in our direction, yeah. So I assumed, oh, okay, I'm fucked. They're going to see braids in my hair, and I'm going to go home because, again, I was one of the loudest kids in school. So teachers, more so admin, was always looking for a reason to like send me home. I remember my boss one time said, I'm going to send you home before you finish. You're going to get a suspension from me. So I assumed they've seen me, they've seen my hair plaited. It's over for me. But at school, part of our uniform was a hoodie. So he calls me, and I put on the hoodie, I put on the hood, and then I walk to him. Now this man, and I used to have anger towards this man for what I'm about to explain, but then growing up, you kind of realize some people don't know how to comfort, and that's okay, yes? So he calls me, and I walk towards him, and then he looks me in the eye and says, so your mom called, or an aunt, or whoever, and they have told me your dad has passed away. And then he proceeds to just walk into the classroom. Like he just handed me results. Anyway, so when he says someone has called and and they've said your dad has passed, I didn't register that statement. Why? That particular week, because that happened on like a Friday. I think 21st was a Friday, yes. It happened on a Friday, but on Wednesday, they just made it. No, on Monday, the school had announced that all candidates needed to be in boarding, yes? So that was Monday, on the Monday assembly. So I go home as a day scholar, I go home, I tell my dad, I tell my mom. So, kinda, they are needing us to be in boarding. So they arrange themselves, and then Wednesday in the evening, I didn't study Wednesday, because we were packing and doing all these things. Wednesday evening, my dad and mom drive me to school, yeah? And they do the whole, I come from a very Christian background, so when you're getting sent off to school, it's like a huge, more so in boarding, it was like a huge deal. Your parents would come, and then personally, my parents would come, and then they would help you lay your bed, and then they would pray around your bed, yeah? If you know the biblical reference of the 7 rotations around, yeah, so we'd do that and just rotate around my bed and just anoint the bed with oil and all these different things, and then we'd pray as a family, and then they would head. So we did all that Wednesday. Now, what in my head, when he said that, I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean my dad has passed? Because I saw the man on Wednesday, and we actually had a conversation on Thursday because I had an illegal phone in school. And I called my pops, and I had a conversation with him Thursday, I think in the evening, right before prep. So that's like 5 p.m. into 6 p.m., which is supper time. So I didn't understand what this man was saying. So I was like, you know what? It's cool. So I go back to my friends, and I sit. But as she's plaiting my hair, now I begin to break down because it had registered in my mind. Wednesday, the reason why my dad drove me to school with my mom is because he was getting admitted into hospital on Wednesday evening. So it was, let's drop Eliezer and then head to hospital and then get checked in. Yes? So it adjusted. Now at that point, I'm like, oh, he might actually be dead. So now I begin to like burst out and cry. So I walk into the compound. I'm a very dramatic individual. When it fully registered in my head that this might actually be real, I'm walking in the compound, and I remember vividly before I blacked out, because I don't remember how I got home, yes? But as I was moving through the compound, I kept saying, nah, he can't be dead. Like, bro, a day? He can't be dead. Then I remember I stood in the compound trying to collect myself, and then I see an aunt's car pull up to the school gate. I was like, this aunt doesn't even know where I stay. like, what is she doing at my school? And then it registers. So I break out, I start crying. She comes into school, she leaves her car outside, she goes into school, picks me up, takes me to the car, and then she goes into the office and explains what she's explaining to them, and then we head home. Yeah. Now we do the whole burial thing, and I think still it hadn't registered. I was still in doubt. Yes. So even when we got home and we found people taking up the chairs and all these different things, in my mind, I was like, this is a family event. This is a family event. This shit can't be happening, yeah? So the first person I saw through the house was my little sister, who, when she sees me, the first thing she says in her Lord sweetness way is, Auntie Ellen has told me Daddy has gone to heaven. And I was like, what? Now, I broke down, I went to the bedroom, started crying, all these different things. But still, I finished crying, and I'm like, wait, this can't be real, yes? And it was still the denial, because even after there was the vigil and then the church service, even when we traveled to the village, I was like, what are we doing? Like, are we actually going to bury this man? Is he actually dead? Because even at the church service, I never really looked into his coffin to see, because it was an open casket. I didn't look into the casket, yes? Till this day, I don't know what he looks like in the casket, yeah? So, we go to the village. Now me, I watch a lot of movies, yes? Now this is where the denial fed my delusion. I've watched a lot of spy movies where people fake their death and then they come back after 2 years and they're like, ha, I wasn't dead. Boo, bitch. So when we're in the village, even after they put him in the ground, I told myself, he's going to come back. But he's just going to show up. He is going to show up, yeah? And lo and behold, it's 5 years now, he hasn't shown up. But that was the denial part for me. Now, the anger part comes in, which is the second stage of grief. I was angry at him for leaving the way he left, yeah? Because what do you mean you sent me to school and then you decide to die 3 days later? Bro. So I was angry at him, I was angry at the world. I was also angry at whoever was on his medical team. I remember I sat down one time and delusion, denial, fed into my anger, and I said I'm going to look for the documents, medical documents of my dad, and find out what doctors were on his case, and these guys are gonna pay, yeah? So, generally there was that need to blame somebody, yes? Which a lot of people, I think a lot of the guys in my friend group are at that stage of we want to blame somebody, yes? I remember we were seated at coffee on Monday, and one of them, Celine, says, but didn't she talk to one of us? Because we lost a friend recently. So she was saying, didn't Celine talk to you? Didn't she tell you that something was going on? Why? Because if she told someone in the friend group, then we could blame someone in the friend group for not alarming us to take the situation seriously. Now, for the third stage, is it the third stage? Denial, anger. Yes, for the third stage. The third stage is bargaining, yes? Bargaining is more of, it's mixed throughout all the scenarios, but bargaining is more of the what ifs, yes? Of what if I did this better? What if I had said this? What if I had done this? What if I had said goodbye before he left? What if? And I think that's, for me, one of the stages that kind of ushered me into the fourth stage. And usually, when people don't deal with the what ifs in a very responsible manner, the fourth stage is very, very difficult.